ploughman's goes a long way.
Mm.
A ploughman's is, by the way, the most popular lunchtime sandwich in the UK.
Here we go.
So
we are full of facts.
This is
brilliant.
It's like
every day's a school day.
Yeah,
it is. Right then, team, welcome back. Welcome back to the Scratch Record podcast. Today we are joined by TikTok verified. They've recently played live on Scruff of the Twitch, which is doing incredibly well at the moment. Their most recent single is Stardog, and they are the Popper Chocky Dark Fruits boys. We have the Rills. How are we?
Yeah, right. They're doing good.
Hello.
Yeah.
fantastic intro. I like that one.
Thank you so much for that one.
Thank you. I'm expecting roses to start coming in the end.
Yeah.
This is your one.
I'm doing this one then. Okay, right. So what we're going to do is we're going to drop you straight into a scenario. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Picture this. You're on a night out. It gets to 4 a.m. Club shuts. You've had a great
kebab,
night.
your margarita pizza.
Got your kebab or a Mackey's or whatever, whatever the kids are doing these days. And you go and you get a taxi, all of you pile in the back of it. Taxi driver turns around and goes, right, boys, what are you about? What do you do? Who are you? What is your answer going to be to the taxi driver? Give us your answer.
Oh, this is a good one.
Yeah. I always like to string on taxi drivers usually with stuff like this. I tell them that I'm a businessman and I work in the shop.
Yeah.
I mean... What would you say, Cal? What would you say?
Oh, I don't know. I think sometimes saying that you're in a band is just a big mistake when you're in a taxi.
Yeah.
You sort of go, you're in a band, and they sort of go, oh, really? Well, I was in a band back in the day.
That's the cruel reality of actually being in a band, is telling people that you're in a band. And then
I thought that's the best bit.
No.
That is also the best bit, but also it's the worst bit when because it turns out everyone's been in a band. You'll be surprised. Absolutely, everyone's been in a covers band or something at some point. So yeah, they always there's plenty of two pences offered about. But yeah.
There's a lot to learn from taxi drivers about the music industry. There's a pocket of knowledge that they have, and I tell you what, I've had many a half-hour taxi drive and Uber drive where they've sort of told me how the industry works.
Yeah, from their inside knowledge that they've got for the taxi. Yeah.
Honestly, there's nuggets of knowledge that you can get from a taxi driver.
Or did you know that taxi drivers' brains are actually physically bigger than the average person's brain? And that is genuinely true, right? This is true. So they have to do like a test called the Knowledge in London. They do and they say like, I want to go from here to here, and they have to do it like the quickest route, and then they're like pothole, and they have to like, I'd go that way. And the amount they have to learn to do that, it actually like increases the size of their brain.
No way.
That's true.
Are you sure that's not just head size?
Nah, it's a fact. I'm telling you. I promise you. It's like, and they have like more grey matter than white matter compared to the average person.
Crazy.
Oh, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Is that the same? Is that the same for Uber drivers?
Do you know what? I'm going to say no, because all they do is their phone's just there and they just follow it, don't they? Yeah. It's all done on there. So no, I think it's just like London black cab drivers.
Yeah.
Bigger brains.
The underrated brain of the British economy, aren't they? The taxi driver.
They keep everything moving.
They're the backbone. They do keep everything moving.
They do, quite literally. Right, I'll save it. Ask a question.
The first thing that we've kind of fell on top of is the fact that taxi drivers have a large brain.
Everyone listening to this can Google it. It's true.
This is probably this will definitely be in our top 10 in the future when we do like our top 10 off-topic moments. That is one of them. That might have to be number one already.
This might be our fault because we always end up on an off-topic.
No, it is our entire goal of the podcast as well. So I think we're going to get on well. I think it's going to be a good hour.
Yeah. We're full of off topics.
Lovely.
We always revert to meal deals, don't we, in sandwiches?
Yeah.
Somehow. Oh, well, you've said it now. Go on then.
Yeah.
Go on then.
I know we're not Jack, mate, but what is your meal deal? Your go-to meal deal?
I'll let you go first, Mitch, because I'm gonna wind people up with mine.
To be fair, I think the meal deal is such a controversial thing, right?
Yeah.
It can wind anybody up. But I'm personally, I want as much as I can get for my money. So it changes. Correct.
You're right.
So it tends to be the drink changes, but you go to for drink if you want value for money. It's the smoothies, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
Expensive. But recently in Tesco, they've introduced the large iced coffee thing, which is £3.50 itself. So alone is worth more than the meal deal. So I have to get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I also love those Italian meat subs in the Tesco ones. I think they're great.
Oh, okay.
A bit different, which and I love the paprika crisps. I get them every time. So yeah, that's
a really solid meal deal.
Smart, that is a solid meal deal. Fucking hell, you spent about £7 there.
I managed to get it
for £3.50.
Incredible.
That is the receipt the other day because I'd spent about £7. I was like,
frame it. He's got it framed in the background.
That's going to be the next Rills merch. It's just the Tesco.
Yeah. Right, Callum, sort us out then. What are you going to say?
Yeah, well, mine is like the opposite, actually. At first, I was trying to outsmart the meal deal, and I was sort of trying to go. I was trying to go more exotic, get a wrap. I've already narrowed my options by being a vegetarian. So, the thing I sort of do now is I try and get in touch with my sort of like youthful side.
Okay.
And I sort of go for there's no easy way to put this. I'll go for a cheese sandwich sometimes. Just a plain cheese sandwich. Yeah, I'm sorry. And a Ribena. So I'll go for a Ribena and a cheese sandwich and a packet of Quavers because it reminds me of those sort of hot car journeys to Skegness in the back of the car with a cheese sandwich, some warm Quavers.
I don't even know what to say.
I have to admit, I can't judge.
Honestly.
I can't judge too much because I am a fellow vegetarian. I am, so the cheese sandwich is a staple. Like normally, if you go in, sometimes you go to the old dodgy corner shops or whatever. You end up, you go to, because I normally go for an egg and cress. It's normally
I do an egg
where
and cress.
I lean towards. But if you go into somewhere that isn't a mainstream supermarket, the egg and cress. You don't want to be getting egg and cress. They're always a bit, close to the mark. You might not trust them. So I agree. I'm normally a cheese and pickle man, actually.
Yeah.
Cheese and pickle.
A ploughman's goes a long way. A ploughman's is, by the way, the most popular lunchtime sandwich in the UK.
Here we go.
So
we are full of facts.
Yeah, this is
brilliant.
It's like
every day's a school day.
Yeah,
it is.
School day. It is for you and your cheese sandwich and Ribena.
Yeah, I was going to say year 2 every day for you.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're buying a cheese sandwich, you might as well have just sliced some cheese and put it between bread before you left the house.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the reason why meal deals exist because they're making a loss on Mitch, but they're making quite a bit on me.
Yeah, it balances out. You keep the world going round. We've got to have it.
Not all heroes wear capes, do they? So.
It's the duality of man, aren't we? The two sides to the same coin.
I'd like to give a special shout out to one that is never spoken about, and that is Greg's. And I'll tell you what, if you're a student, and this is what kept me going for uni, you can get one of their baguettes, which are like big, chicken and bacon, like really good. I think they do a vegetarian one, not sure.
Don't care.
Doesn't really matter. And then you can get any drink, including your coffees, hot drinks, anything you want. And if you're a student, you then get a free sausage roll as well.
Yeah.
And it's like £3.15, and you get a baguette, a sausage roll, and like a cappuccino.
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm not one to cause trouble for any Greggs workers, but the other day, when I was still in uni back in the day, one of them tried telling me I couldn't get a free sausage roll with my meal deal, and I almost started throwing hands. I almost put my keys in my hands. Was going nuts at them.
No one could blame you. That's one day you'd go to court and you'd explain. They'd be like, "That's absolutely fine." Like
I was like, "Let me see the till. Let me see the till now."
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, without wanting to direct us into an actual line of questioning, you mentioned uni there. I'm aware apparently you met at uni. So let's take it back to the start of the actual band. Let's put it back. So did the Rills start at uni for you, or was that where you all met and it got started?
Well, funnily enough, the Rills actually started as another band before, way before we were in uni. Me and Cal, we first met when we were about 14, didn't we? And I think you came to my sixth form, so we would have been 16, 17, and I'd been in kind of bands like through school, but the main thing that happened was could find drummers, could find guitarists, could never ever find bassists. And you turned up, didn't you, with your acoustic guitar, and we just started chatting and just playing some bits and bobs. And I was like, you don't play bass by any chance, do you?
Yeah, and I just completely lied. And I was like, yeah, I've been playing bass for years, mate. I've got one at home, and got one. I think the first practice you were like, come for the first practice, bring your bass. And I was like, well, actually, my bass must be in the shop or something at the minute, so I'll have to borrow one of yours if that's okay. Blagged my way through the whole start of that situation.
But yeah, and then that's kind of how the very first incarnation of the Rills started, and you know, that was back, you know, in Lincoln, where me and Cal are from. And then after that, I think when we finished sixth form, Lincoln's like not really got a music scene. It's kind of like a burgeoning city. The university's growing every year. There's kind of more and more happening. But there was never ever music when we were growing up, and we were just kind of hell bent on this. We're going to be in a band. You know, this is what we want to do. And so we were like, should we move to Sheffield, because there was a kind of like a music scene there. That really, when we did that, that's when we kind of made this decision that we weren't this old band anymore. At this point there was three of us, one of the original members of the band who moved with us as well. And we were just like, yeah, we're the Rills now. And we just kind of decided there and then. And then it wasn't until we went to university where we met Mason, who's our drummer. And that's when this version of the Rills is like fully bedded right there. So that's kind of, that's how that started.
Wow. Okay, well, right. I'm interested in this, first of all. This original band, what was it called, and is there still music out there?
Oh, so you noticed I was trying to dodge that.
Yeah. I'm not letting you get away with that.
Because I was definitely going to say something.
Yeah. So the original band was called Misnomer, right? Misnoma. And I think there's still music on SoundCloud.
Amazing.
So there was some on Spotify once upon a time, but that's gone. But yeah, so you can hear, you know, songs that I wrote when I was like 16, and then we all like had some of the worst recording experiences ever. Songs. So yeah, check them out. And actually, so we listened back to them not long ago.
Say, are they any good? That's not for you to decide.
There's some great choruses in there, I'll say that. Also some humdingers. So
yeah. I like that. That's sick. So then when you then got to uni, how did that then develop? Was it starting like, did you do gigs around that time, early days? Like, what was the early days like?
Well, we had a gig, didn't we? We had like we had from our manager around the time. He had set up a gig before we had a drummer. So it was really lucky that Mason sort of came up to us and went, he sort of sniffed it on us. He could smell it. He'd be like, you need a drummer. And we were like, we do. And we need one before next Friday. And we ended up doing this like really strange gig at this place called The Fortress.
Yeah.
Which it now doesn't exist, but apparently it was like a big punk place in London, in sort of around, it's near East, isn't it?
Yeah,
it is in East. Yeah.
Shoreditch, yeah. And it was a studio at the bottom, like a bar in the middle, and God knows what it was at the top. I have no idea. Yeah. But it was just a really strange, surreal place.
Yeah.
But yeah, we were the last band to ever play that. And I think it got down like a couple of weeks later or something.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was really strange actually. It was people, they just didn't care about people smoking. There's people walking around smoking and stuff. You could tell they were closing down the next day.
That sounds like a mental night. That sounds like one of them nights where like it goes down. That's one that you'll remember, not only because it was the one where you first got your drummer, it's because it is just one of them stories where like there isn't going to be many bands nowadays that have had an experience like that.
Oh yeah. It sounds a bit like Antwerp Mansion now.
Oh,
you know, and like every time you go, they didn't care what you did because it's definitely needs shutting down.
What a place Antwerp Mansion is, right? If you've never been, it's in Manchester. They've reopened.
Not anymore. It's gone now.
They shut it down for
fully shut down.
No.
Oh, right. It was a place. It was this dirty, grimy old manor house.
Yeah.
In the middle of Manchester, but it was like hidden behind trees, and you'd go. It wasn't like as bad as like you'd get a text. It was like there was like tickets on like Skiddle and stuff. It wasn't like that dodgy. And you get your ticket, and you'd have to go. You queue down the side of this manor house, and you go down the drive, and you could tell it was like this old drive, and the people that were checking your tickets were like in what used to be the garages and stuff. And you'd walk in, and there weren't any doors on any of the rooms. Anywhere. Like I don't even think they
toilets
had doors.
Or
like none of the toilets had anything. There was graffiti everywhere. And you go up the stairs, and the thing that got me about the stairs is they still had like the old sofa of whoever used to live there at the bottom of the stairs. And you go up the stairs, and there was like the handrail was like snapped in the middle, and like there was like a big gap in the handrail, and like plasterboard was coming down from the ceilings. It was one of the grottiest places I've ever been, but at the same time, probably one of the best nights I've ever been.
We paid like £3 to see Darksy there, and then it was unbelievable. And then literally like a few weeks later, they closed it down. And then they rumoured about
unsafe.
Yeah, weird.
Yeah, sounds fine though.
Yeah, exactly. It was like, what? But that was similar vibes in the way that you always felt like you could sort of do what you want. Because at some point it's going to get shut down. So you just just everyone enjoyed it at the time. But
that's what this place was like. It sort of, you'd be scared going upstairs just in case you fell through.
Yeah, I swear all the best gigs happen though. All the best gigs happen.
Although you couldn't hear anything, they just put us through. I think they put us through like one little PA, didn't they, Rich? And they just turned you up as much as possible, so you sounded sort of like a sort of synth.
But the thing is, that was like in the early days of the Rills. It was like before we kind of got any like we'd kind of. I don't know, like our ears weren't like really subtly trained, and it was like everything was just this wall of sound. It was like, yep, crank everything up. And Mason's like a super loud drummer as well. And after every gig, everyone was like, wow, that music was amazing, but couldn't hear the voice. So that was just like one of those times where everything was through. Yeah, everything was just loud. I was just through the PA.
That's brilliant.
As uni went on, then did you get these gigs going like bigger and bigger and saw some growth, or was it pretty steady throughout that time?
To be fair, we definitely saw some growth, like just from gigging on like kind of like in the circuit. But when we first started gigging, we were just gigging everywhere, weren't we? It was like
we'd never turn a gig down.
No, like that first year we played everywhere, but we felt like a bit of growth, but it kind of like wasn't really what we were expecting. So we just started focusing on kind of like gigs in London and trying to get like involved in scenes and stuff like that, because obviously we were kind of like outsiders, because you're students kind of coming from somewhere else, you don't really have that like scene backing. And initially we started to try and kind of play with a promoter called This Feeling because they'd kind of like got a good reputation, and it just never really kind of clicked for us. Nothing, we never got like that growth. Not really until third year, where a mate of mine started managing us. Then we had a manager in the past, and then we stopped working with him and got this new manager, and who was just like one of us, the guy who you'll know, who will have spoken.
Top geezer. Best manager we've worked with.
Yeah. By far.
Literally, it was like just massively changed from there. It was like we really, really felt like it was happening from there on. More people were coming to the gigs. Everything on like the socials was better, and that was kind of like the way it was going. We were really gutted that lockdown happened initially. How well the live was going.
Yeah. So before we get into the lockdown, because I feel like that's what we speak about for a while, I think it's interesting to touch on this manager point. And I think if we were to have any advice for bands, like, I think your manager can be so important at this time. And why you said that is really interesting. And I think why we've dealt with your manager and he was so brilliant, and why we've been very complimentary, is the fact that when we contacted him, he made it so easy to then get to this point now where we're interviewing you. I mean, like, Break the Magic, it was literally like 2 days ago, and he was like, yep, sound Thursday, they'll be there, cool.
Yeah.
we've dealt with some managers, and whether we've even got to the point of interviewing them, a lot of the time not. And it's almost like they're a barrier between us and the band.
Yeah.
And like actually helping. And they're a bit more like, oh no, well, hold on. I'm putting a stop to it. Whereas we've found that there's literally been times where we've just DM'd the band directly and then sorted it because it's easier. I think, I know you sort of touched on them, but have you found that actually having someone who can just be like, lads, you've got to do this interview, you've got to do that podcast, you've got to get on stage here, we'll book you a gig. Has that really pushed that level?
100%. I think, yeah, I really do. I feel like it was like he took the brakes off everything and everything started rolling. Yeah, and just having that kind of like, it's quite, it can be quite difficult in bands because everybody's really passionate about music, and when you're all in that kind of like bubble, it can be really difficult to kind of focus on anything else. But having that kind of like outside presence in the band, who's like, Lewis is like just as much a member as any of us now, as far as we're concerned. He's like the fourth Rill. But having that kind of like outside presence that isn't like motivated by being able to make music, it just totally like changes our perception on everything, makes everything so much slicker, and there's so many less like arguments than there were when we kind of like were younger and first starting. So yeah, it's been a really good kind of process.
I think that's interesting, and I think it's just a good piece of advice if anyone does have a manager. Have a look at them. If they're stopping you getting interviews instead of helping you, then have a word.
Yeah.
Paying for podcasters to try and book you.
So you're just trying to make our job easier.
Yes, yes, Elliot. Yes, I am.
Yeah, no, I think that's really good. Like as I said, like we've noticed it has been quite difficult to get in contact with people. But I think what's been the thing that if you could put a specific point to it, like what's been the thing that you found most beneficial from the manager? Like what has he implemented that's a little bit different, that seems like it's had the most help and the biggest benefit towards it?
First of all, he was the reason why we started doing TikToks, and I remember being really against it as well. Not really against it, but it was sort of at the beginning of the lockdown, and he sort of went, "Look, lads, not many people are doing like bands on TikTok and stuff like that." And at this point, TikTok was still flossing and Fortnite and stuff like that. And we were really unsure about it. And he sort of went, "No, come on, just do it." And then, so it's having that person to push you to do things that you wouldn't think to do. Because when you're in a band, you just want to do cool things. You want to play gigs. You just want to, do you know what I mean? You want to be like the bands you follow. So post every fortnight saying you've got a gig and be really mysterious, like sort of Black Midi and stuff like that. But he was the reason why we sort of pushed on the socials more.
Yeah, it was definitely, I think the biggest kind of impact he had was the TikTok stuff, because yeah, like Hal said, it was his idea, and I was like hesitant as well in the beginning.
Yeah.
I was really like, what the hell is this? But it just completely changed everything for us. So like we're completely indebted to him for that.
Yeah.
Which is great.
It's
go
on.
I was just about to say, whenever he tells me to do something now, I just never refuse. Like he's like a higher power now.
God, we've given him a lot of power for this podcast. I hope he doesn't listen.
Yeah.
I think
maybe cut that bit out.
I'm gonna clip it up and send it to him specifically. Yeah, just that little section.
It reminds me very much of what Maxim Deco was saying. I don't know if you've heard of them.
Yeah,
they've gone viral with these mashups, and he sort of said very similar. Like the manager was like, "Right, it's locked down, been a bit quiet. Like you've got to do something. Like try and get something out." And he was like, "Oh, like I can't really be bothered. I don't really want to do it." And then he just thought, "Okay, actually, I'll try and do like an 80s cover," and then like sort of put it with something else and put it up. And then he said his manager's texting back like, "Right, that's brilliant. I'm going to make it go big on Twitter." And then it was like the next day it's got millions of views and stuff like this. But it's like, it is funny because it's easy to just sit there and be like, "I really can't be bothered." And like we found that, like we tried to make our own stuff, and it's like you get to a good point where it's good, and then you get to a point where it's like, oh, not really. It's hard to be motivated, and I think it's good to just be like, to hit that point where you're like, actually, fuck it, let's just do it.
There's just so much content you have to put out on TikTok and Reels, like to keep within, from what we can gather. And I've helped my girlfriend with it in the past, and it's just the consistency on TikTok, Reels and stuff like that is fucking unbelievable. Is it something that you lot have found quite difficult to keep everything up in a sense? Because like to get the big TikTokers that are getting these incredible growths of thousands and thousands a day, they're posting like 6, 7, maybe 8 times a day. Like, are you finding that consistency something really difficult to keep up with?
Oh yeah, it's impossible. Like, it's crazy. It's absolutely mental. Like the kind of level you have to, that consistency that you have to try and keep up. But the thing is, I think the beauty with TikTok is like you never quite disappear, right? Because you always get these slow burner videos. So even when you're kind of like not smashing out loads of videos every day, there are still like these things ticking away. I mean, like recently we've, because we're going to record an EP next week, we've been trying to just focus really on the music. I mean, we've spent like the past year just dedicated to growing on TikTok and having that kind of like, there was like a period when I was like making between 3 and 5 videos a day. And it was just crazy. Like I really don't know how some of the really big TikTokers are like doing it. It's mad. It's like, it really takes so much to do.
It becomes a full-time job. Like when it was the first lockdown was when my girlfriend got into it, and she managed to grow like 13K in like 4 weeks or 5 weeks or something stupid. And like, we kind of worked out as almost a bit of a game of like, it gave us something to do during the day because she'd finished a dissertation and I was still doing something. So like, you know, she'd
still writing your dissertation.
I was still just starting my dissertation. Yeah. So I was balls deep in some university work. So she was going off doing other things, and we were like, right, let's run it like a game, because I'm fascinated by social media and making videos and all of that jazz. And she was doing all the TikTok dances and that stuff. And we were getting to a point where she was having record days where she was recording like 12 a day for like 3 days and having like 3 days off. And then, you know, we were then posting them 3 times, 4 times a day, maybe at specific times. It becomes like, you can see how I hate the fact that some of the older generations don't see YouTube, TikTok, all that stuff as like jobs, because the time consumption it takes all of your creativity for that day or that 6 hours to actually funnel it into making something that's worth watching, because there is a science to it. There is a knack to making a TikTok and getting the right amount of watch time and still doing it like a full-blown story. And it's mental. I love it. I think it's a fascinating thing just to look into.
I think it's such a creative boom at the moment on TikTok. Like it's sort of hit at the perfect time to explode, really, in terms of like, well, for TikTok and not the world, I suppose, during this like pandemic, because everyone's just got this free time and they're just watching. And instantly I thought, I was like distrustful of it. I'm like, oh my God, it instantly goes to the next video. Like there's no way to get off of it. But you're right, it's so creative. And we've sort of come to the point now, haven't we, Mitch, where we're sort of like leveling up whether we should do like go for those like big viewed meme sort of like TikToks that don't necessarily put across that we're a band, but they do blow up because it's like, oh look, indie bus driver, blah blah blah, like, stuff like that.
Funny. I think. Go on, carry on.
I was just saying that, and they blow up, but then you've got to try and like balance them with, hi, we're a band, we're the Rills, please listen to our songs. Otherwise, it's a little bit pointless.
Yeah, we had Lou from TGF on like 3 weeks ago now, something like that, which is sick. So he come on, and he's like massive on TikTok now. And he was saying, like, he was so open and honest. He was like, yeah, I do the cringy TikTok stuff. I play the game, like, I do all the whole singing in a mirror, smoking my jewel, my bleach hair and stuff. But at the same time, like, I am there to promote my music. Like, this is the reason I'm there. I'm there for promotion. Like, I'm not there because I want to be a TikToker. Like, I don't like, he's not there to be that. He's there to push his music across, and it works. It does work.
Yeah, that's like definitely a big thing with us in the beginning with kind of like TikTok wise, because it's kind of like we maybe like there was a bit where we started to kind of lose our identity and think, oh, hang on, wait, what are we doing this TikTok stuff for? Are we TikTokers or like old bands. Do you know what I mean? And it was kind of like, we just kind of came to this decision, like, no, we are a band. TikTok is like a sort of vehicle for us to kind of like find new fans. And that is like the way we use it. And I think most bands like are missing a trick by like not using it, because it's so important. And it's, I don't know, it's just such a great tool to kind of like find people who really actually like give a shit about your music. And, you know, you'd be surprised like at how many there are. But yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head when you were like, it totally drains you of your creative, like your just like spirit of the day almost, because I always say to my manager, he's like, oh, can you make this TikTok or something? And I'm like, if I'm writing, I'm like, mate, there is no way I can't like just transfer into TikTok mode. It's like, you have to be in the mindset. It's really, really crazy. Yeah. There's just so much that goes into them.
It is. And it's like, even like I did a day today of like, I started off the day doing a radio show, and then I was like, right, this afternoon, I'll just back record a load. So we've got like 10, 15 to stick out over the next week or so. And it just takes so much of because not only are you thinking of the idea, you can follow trends, but you've got to put your own spin on it. Like that Popper CHOCCY Dark Fruits, right? I know we joke about it, but that's a fucking belter, because that is the perfect mix of like Popper CHOCCY milk, like that Popper CHOCCY milk trend that was going on, but also having your own spin on it. And dark fruits and indie music, it's that perfect correlation. But you know, it's that, even just having to have that idea, I always feel like the creative ideas and stuff, they fall from the sky. It's just like, for that day, that was TikTok. And then for the next day, you've got music to now go on with, or a t-shirt, or, you know, your photo shoots as well. They've all got a real unique twang to them too. So there's so many lanes of creativity, and TikTok being one that you delve into, it's doing you lot masses are good.
That's the thing as well. You can't just sit down and go. The hardest thing is when we're with our manager and he goes, right, TikTok ideas, go. And you're just like, you're all sat around the table just going, oh, indie haircut.
Just indie and then a random thing. Yeah, honestly, indie orange peel. I don't...
Yeah, and we sat there going, oh, that sucks. That is the worst idea we've had. But honestly, the best ones come from just sitting and going on TikTok. So not only do you have to film the TikTok, which ends up being like a 15-second video, but you spend like all day recording it, or a good chunk of your day. You've also got to spend the rest of your day not recording it, looking up the
research,
the idea and everything. Yeah. But when you do get that CHOCCY Dark Fruits video, when you do hit it, it's so worth it.
So rewarding.
Yeah.
Oh, but it's addictive though, isn't it?
Yeah. It is. The dopamine hit is fucking silly. It's crazy. It's literally like a drug. It's it is another level.
Do you have any like slight frustration with it at times? Because I was scrolling through your reels, and like some of them you watch, and I'm like, they're really creative. They're actually funny, like make you laugh and all this sort of stuff. And obviously they're doing well. They've got like, you know, 35k, 100k, whatever. Yeah. And I was going, it's like, oh, this one's got 1 million. And I was like, what the fuck? Yeah. Go on. And it was one when you like, if you listen to the Smiths, then you need emotional support.
Yeah.
Funny as fuck, but that must be one where you think that's a quick sort of funny, but I'm just going to belt it out, stick it up. Probably didn't even think about it. 1 million. And then you might spend a day doing these really creative, like other ones, and they don't quite hit. So do you ever feel like, sort of wish it would swap around a bit? Or is he just like, whatever hits?
Yeah, I remember Mitch came up to me one time and he was like, you were like, he had this video where it like loops perfectly and the joke is really nuanced and it was hilarious. I remember like absolutely wetting myself at this joke. It flopped so bad.
Yeah.
And I spent like loads of time on it and I was like, this joke is so clever and it was like really funny. But yeah, it just flopped. And there was like, I tried uploading it a couple of times and I was just like, damn it, it's just not made for this. You go off, you spend like 15 seconds making a video somehow, and it just bangs. And you're like, how? It's so frustrating. It's so frustrating. But yeah, so you kind of like get to a point where you start going, okay, right, I'm genuinely going to have to stop putting so much effort into these things because the more I do, the more you go down the well of it and you're just kind of like getting, it's crazy. But yeah, there is so much frustration to that, definitely. Yeah, absolutely. No correlation between hard work on one specific video.
Yeah.
and the view count. It just doesn't happen.
It don't work like that. Have you lot thought about YouTube or something, or maybe a little bit of a longer form content?
Not really, but bits and I suppose a little bit. Like our manager was thinking about kind of like doing some compilations and stuff like that for YouTube, but no, like we've never really thought about doing, I suppose, kind of like extended sketches or anything like that.
Yeah,
YouTube, but I definitely think it would suit us. I mean, we're kind of like that anyway, aren't we, Cal? We just come up with stuff all the time.
I'd like to see a like in a day in the life of, but like if you include sketches throughout it in like a real YouTube-y sense, but you could do like one of your days where you're out doing a photo shoot, but you could also have like mini sketches in it. That would be a sick thing to do.
Yeah.
Well, we've actually got a database of sketches that we've come up with over the course of us knowing each other that we will never release. Just because they're not funny.
What a tease, man.
Yeah, but they are like
they could be so funny if we had the time to film and edit them and like proper like costumes and makeup, the lot. They'd be hilarious. It's just never gonna happen. So
what if we film and edit it for you?
Oh, it'd be great.
Yeah, I'll give you one.
Okay.
Yeah, the old lady in the shop one, 100%.
Oh fuck! Right, we've got to do this.
We'll get planning. We'll get sorted. We'll get some cameos from other people in as well. We'll make it a big thing.
No, I think that is interesting, and I think in terms of transitioning it, what like we spoke about before with people who have had similar blow-ups is like actually, as you said, what's the point? And actually getting streams or someone to buy gig tickets when we actually can gig and stuff. So is that something you consciously, as you said, like make sure that like 1 in every 3 is like, oh, I'll actually listen to the music, or is it just because you've done like your streams and stuff have smashed as well?
Yeah, the streams like grew massively, particularly from ones that kind of were about us being a band or talking about our music or whatever. But like, no, not really. There's not really kind of like, do you know what I mean? Like while we're making videos and that, we're like, oh, we've done like 3 funny ones. Let's kind of do a bit of a promo now. It's more just kind of like we get a massive ideas and literally whatever sticks. Do you know what I mean? It's like
for those promo ones, I remember you doing loads of research for those ones, didn't you? Like you have to really know, like cut down, no breaths in between talking and stuff like that. So they're like, those promo ones are like so much harder than just put a bit of Cadbury's chocolate milk in dark fruits.
Yeah. I might be pushing the point I just made here, but one of my favorites is probably one of your most simples, your most recent one on TikTok, when you were literally like, when you kick your ball over your neighbour's fence and you go to get it back and it's like, oh, he's popped it. Anyway, stream Stardog, and I was like, just comes out of nowhere, and I'm like, again, like you've probably spent so long on promo ones, but you just doing that was like, yeah, okay, sold, I'll stream it. That's
that was us kind of like reclaiming a bit of fun in it, I think, because we've taken a bit of time out like to write, and just because it can get like really frustrating, and you definitely need a bit of time to just breathe with it. And we just got together, didn't we, Cal? And we were just like, oh, should we just do some really stupid like bits of promo? But that's what those.
They're the fun ones. They're the ones I really enjoy. The ones where you sat there editing out like an or a breath, or like those ones are just painful, but worth it.
Yeah,
of course.
I like that. So you were talking about writing. I think it's about time we get into it. You've got a new EP coming out. Talk to us about it. What can we expect? What sort of time frame can we expect this EP? What's going with it?
So musically, it is some balls to the wall stuff. There's some proper there's some power on it, isn't there, Cal?
Yeah.
And there's like one tune which is like it just sounds massive to us. Like we absolutely love it. You know, I do it differently one.
Yeah.
It's just got this really like kind of almost like Hawaiian riff to it, hasn't it? It's really
so it's like Hawaiian heartbeat,
under the sea vibe.
Is there a steel pan?
Yeah. Like,
I will be now.
Yeah.
Do you need a steel pan?
Yeah.
There's a running joke in our podcast. I always bring up that I used to play the steel pans.
Oh,
that led so perfectly into it. I couldn't not.
You could have not. Yeah,
I could have not.
Yeah,
but in my head.
How do you get into the steel pan? How does that start?
Oh, someone's actually asked him about it. Oh, no.
I went to a very strange primary school, essentially, and there was in my junior school there was a steel pan band club.
Nice.
Joined, tried out, got in on like the
tried out. Sorry, wait. How do you try out?
Well, you go in, you all hit some pans. Some of you are shit, some of you are good, some of you are right. You know what I mean? Like, not everyone's built for it, Joe. You know,
the steel pan.
You've got the gift.
Yeah. The Steel Pan Band Club sound like a Beatles tribute.
Yeah. I think that was the aim. That was the aim to do. We just were doing the whole of Sgt. Pepper back to front on steel pans.
Oh my God.
But yeah, essentially, strange school decided that was something they were going to bring in as an after-school club. So
great stuff.
I'm not sure how you, like, as a teacher, you bring that to the board and you go, right, I need £3,000 of our budget for a full.
They obviously got
set. They're like
they obviously got a deal on it.
Yeah, obviously. So I don't know where you get the deal from. It was probably like the.
I've just found some steel pans. I've got an idea.
Yeah.
The more likely thing from your junior school is they were nicked from something.
No, hang on. Yeah. No, they were. Fuck off. Right, it wasn't that bad. We literally lived down the road from like a West Indian community club. So I think that's like Afro West Indian Community Club. I think they're probably some link to that.
Yeah,
rented.
They're not. They're rented, borrowed, never given back. I think.
Anyway, new EP.
Yeah. Steel pans. Let's keep going.
Keep going.
Yeah. Time frame wise, I'm not sure because we really wanted to get it out as soon as possible, but it's like everybody else on it, kind of in the background's like, we need to make sure it's lining up with some live stuff. So yeah, it's going to be. I mean, we're looking like towards the tail end of summer now, I think.
Yeah.
With the fingers crossed, that we can get out and get playing and everything, because that'll be, that's exactly what we're aiming for.
Yeah.
But yeah, like as for the music, it's like 100% it's the best stuff we've ever done.
Cool.
It's yeah, I'm really excited to get going on it.
So what are your main influences like musically? Oh, where does it all come from?
I would say originally, like from the very core, it's like Libertines and Arctic Monkeys and stuff like that. That's where it all started with us, I think. And then you start collecting more and more, like a huge one at the minute is Black Midi. We sound nothing like them, but they're such a huge inspiration because they were just like a breath of fresh air into the world of like into the like our sort of music. And they sort of took us from the side, didn't they? Really?
Yeah.
They're just crazy. They're an anomaly. They're just like the most nuts thing at the moment.
Yeah, it's really weird because we're kind of like you say, like there is that core in the like early 2000s indie thing that made us, pick up instruments in the first place.
Yeah.
But there's also this, which is kind of like that. Some of that music, when you kind of listen back to it, like it's been called not industrial indie now, landfill indie now. Some of it kind of like, this mass of commercially ready pop kind of friendly indie tunes, and it kind of like it was a bit tough to take when that first came out, but kind of like it's really funny because some of our really key influences now, like you say, Black Midi, Dry Cleaning, are completely on the other side of that spectrum. They're indie bands, post-punk bands, whatever, but they're like this totally different thing to commercial music. And I say kind of commercial in a sort of light way because it's kind of always hard to define what commercial is. But if you look at like Arctic Monkeys and the Libertines, you would say super successful bands. Do you know what I mean? Like really big. They've had music in the charts and things like that. Well, I mean, actually, Black Midi and Dry Clean have both had albums in the charts. But to me, they kind of like represent this other like ideology, and it's something like it just gets sucked into the whirlpool of the Rills, doesn't it? And we don't really like make proper like post-punk music, but it's like so important to us that it does kind of find its way in there.
And you can hear it from because we're massive fans of this post-punk vibe, Feet, Caught In, all of the bands like that. Like we love that scene, and you can hear the elements to it, and you've got that crossover. It feels like a crossover breed of that, as we were saying. Like I think the commercial side, when Arctic Monkeys went commercial, really with AM sort of thing, but more the earlier stuff. You've got the nice twang of that. Of like the actual guitar music, but also have the elements of spaced vocals and heavy drum over and a bass line to it over the top as well. And it's this almost crossbreed that feels to us like quite a refreshing thing to hear, because there's a lot of people down both routes. Like there is, Feet have just released that Peace and Quiet now, and it's the first track they've released recently. And it's a fucking belter, but that is very much one side. And there is quite a lot like Italia 90 we've spoke about before that are down that end of the spectrum. And it's nice having someone on the show, especially, but also like in the scene that we're enjoying. It's that nice middle ground for people that not necessarily so into that post-punk vibe, because that's a lot that could be quite hard to consume for like someone who's not been listening to it for a long while. Yeah. And also so can that, early Arctic Monkeys humbug-y type vibe stuff. And that nice middle ground, I think, will really help you lot like grow in that direction. So are we expecting to hear that sort of vibe on this new EP?
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
We've definitely tried to like take those sort of more out there post-punky vibes and sort of wrap them up in a nice commercial package and sort of, do you know what I mean? Ready for sale.
Yeah, I like
that. Yeah, it's there's definitely, there is one song on it, I think there's going to be the opener, called This Is Hell, where we wrote it, and I was like to Cal, I was like, I've been trying to write this song for about 3 years. Not that song in itself, but I just mean the sound. I was like, yeah. It was like this moment of like, yes, we bloody hit the nail on the head of that thing I was trying to pull out for so long. And then now it's like, okay, right, now where can we go?
Yeah.
And then there's this other one called Do It Differently, which I think is just so outrageous for us, like in style. It's so different to anything we've ever done. I'm really excited to kind of like get in the studio and see how that kind of comes to life, because it's not the most post-punky tune in the world, right? But I definitely know like the producer we're working with, Jonathan Hooks, is just like a genius. So we're really excited to kind of like see where we can like push and pull these tunes and what direction they can kind of go in.
So were these tunes, are these like lockdown tunes that you've written, or are they ones that you had in the works before?
Well, okay. Actually, I think the whole thing is that all of these tunes have come together in lockdown. There's one tune called Never Around, which I had the guitar, like the chords for it, I've had them for about 2 years or something. But other than that, all of these tunes have come from like little ideas, like whether I've had or you had the Skint Eastwood bass riff ideas. But like all of them have been written in this space, like this lockdown space. None of them are actually about being in lockdown,
I think people have heard enough about being in lockdown, so we've sort of but they're not sort of like that. We haven't got one called Lockdown Virus Pandemic Wear a Mask.
And I cried in my bedroom for 9 months.
Lyrically in particular, like writing in this kind of like period where you cannot get out, there's nothing you can do, you're just trapped, is that I found I've written all these like lyrics for these songs, and I read them all back recently, and I was like, oh my God, these are all about escape or being trapped. So somehow like writing in my surroundings, like being in this position, because I normally write about characters. I love going out in the world, seeing like little characters and kind of people, and I'll write about that. And that's what I've always been inspired by. And this batch of songs is all like introspective. It's all a bit more kind of like, I'm having to be a bit more creative with like the characters. Like there's one called World Leaders, which isn't about one specific character, but just more about the trappings of being a world leader. So somehow they all just ended up about being like escapism or entrapment. So
Have you found that we've asked this for quite a lot? Oh, fucking hell, I've nearly just thrown my camera over again. That'll be a funny shot because I've just stared right down the lens. I've just kicked my tripod. I'm gonna have to make that big screen in the edit. What I was going to ask is, we've spoken to quite a lot of people about the being in lockdown and being confined in these rooms, and it's almost, for me especially, I found it's been almost a bit of a creative overload of like, I felt like I've just had ideas on ideas because we're in this realm that I've used the word before, but it's almost like delusion because everything feels possible. Do you know what I mean? Because even though you're stuck in this room, there's no limits or boundaries that normally if you were talking to people, you'd put on yourselves. Have you found that's been quite something that you've experienced? And if so, like, has it been something that you've found beneficial?
It's definitely felt with what's been going on with like the TikTok stuff as well, and also there's so much creativity in terms of like being able to, the things you can do at home, like record a podcast and like do the TikToks and stuff like that. But it's been almost frustrating because you've got all this creative power in you in a way that we've not been able to sort of actuate or like trigger because we've not been able to meet up as much as we'd want to or gig or like, so it's sort of like we've been put in a bottle and sort of shaped up, and right now we're ready to sort of,
you're about to burst,
explode and murder for the first time.
Yeah. Do something crazy.
Yeah.
I think I'll always describe this past year and a half or whatever it's going to be, right, in lockdown as like the blue ball period, right?
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
So much time and all the, like, I've never had so much equipment to make music because I'm just in. Do you know what I mean? I'm not spending money going out or anything. And the inspiration is so hard to come by because you don't have that like person-to-person interaction or like the actual action, the drama of life, like it's not happening in the same way. And it's super frustrating. I found it so frustrating.
Yeah, it's literally been like I've been edged for a year. That's how I feel like the whole time. I don't know what audience we're aiming that one up, but it's definitely that's definitely how I feel. And I feel like now with everything opening up, like we've managed to get ourselves in different lanes with like. We've got a gig that we're promoting for the first time.
Tickets to the gig.
Yeah, actually, a quick segment. Gig, Garden, Motive, Rolling Thunder, Elliot Williams. If you haven't got tickets, they might be sold out. So have a look, tsrp.co.uk. Thank you. And
whoa, what was that?
Yeah, well, it was like a twitch. I got a tick then.
Where did that come from?
Sorry.
But yeah, so I feel like we've now had this, it's now getting to a point where everything's coming to fruition to some extent. There's actually things that we've had planned and locked up. And, ours has been a little bit different to us, like you guys, because we started in lockdown. Like we literally only started this May, June. Like we're not even been going a year yet. And actually being able to develop it to the point it's at now in lockdown, and now everything's reopening and we're back going to the gigs, which is one of the main reasons. We'll be back going to the gigs, hopefully pretty much when this comes out, back going to the gigs. We've booked our own gig. We're getting person-to-person interviews, getting ready. We're organising all that jazz, like other realms of things that we're creating. And I think I can't wait. I'm buzzed for it. So buzzed. It's going to be sick. It's going to be I've got good feeling for the latter end of this year. Just watch it get shot down.
Yeah, stop it. You're building up too much.
Down by a horse.
Honestly, we're so excited for this last part of this year, just to be able to actually play in front of real people again and not a tiny little sort of camera with a red dot next to it. And they're the only eyes we've seen over the past, I've lost the time of like the past sort of COVID year. It's going to be so exciting to actually do a gig and in the most uncreepy way possible, like smell an audience and and see an audience and feel an audience and maybe not so much smell an audience. I wish I never said that.
Instant regret.
But the smell, like I know exactly what you mean though, because the smell of like playing live is just such a. Where else do you actually smell that? Like anywhere else in the world?
It's a dusty room with a strange sweat, but also lager and cigarette ash. Do you know what I mean? It's like a cross between it all.
But it's like that's the smell that started it all, you know.
It is the sticky, the ashtray and sticky carpets. Brought the Rills to the forefront.
Okay, right. I have like one or two quick questions before we move on to your scenario bit, Al, and then because we've been going 55 minutes.
Hurry up quick because we've got a quick segment. Come on, Joe.
The main thing, one more thing I wanted to ask you about is because we're talking about. Don't throw me off now. Try to do it quick. Because you just spoke about gigs, is the fact that you've grown so much over lockdown. Like when you do come back to gigs, are you thinking like they're gonna surely be able to be like quite a lot bigger than maybe ones you've done before? So are you gonna go big? Are you expected to come out and I'm just like, have you become divas? Are you gonna be going in like demanding a big dressing room, wanting 1,000 people in every gig and stuff? But like seeing that growth must be weird because you normally see it steady, but it might be a bit of a like jump up.
Yeah, that was strange. And I think we've always been divas, haven't we, Mitch? It's always been carrots and hummus in the dressing room. And no, we haven't. But yeah, it is strange because you don't really know what to expect from these gigs.
Yeah, I mean, we have such low expectations anyway. Like from some of the gigs that we've played and like some of the green rooms we've been in, we literally don't care. Do you know what I mean? Like we're just here because we love playing live. Like that's kind of really the thing for us. Like we started this band because we love live music, and not having that has been so weird. Having the growth and knowing that like there's however many hundreds of people that have bought tickets to our shows right now that have just been rescheduled, or like, you know, it's such a weird feeling, but so excited to like actually get out there and do it. I couldn't care where it is. Do you know what I mean? I just care that we're playing and there's people there to enjoy it.
Yeah, I like it. Get to a Rills gig, Callum might sniff you, you'll be fine. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
Be a good night.
Oh no, don't try and talk to me at a gig either, because I feel like during this lockdown I've completely lost all of my social ability. Before, even when Mason during the sort of like sandwich period in between lockdowns, that's sort of like, you know, the white bit of the Oreo, he came up to see me at one point, and we walked down the street to go get a beer. Let's go get a beer, Mason. All right. So we walked down and we were just not talking to each other. Like two best mates just walking down the street going, I've got nothing to say. I've got no social it was like two kids on a like a sort of first day of nursery.
Yeah, I found that we went to the pub literally the other day for the first time I've been to a pub in ages, and I sat down and some bloke who's like was the bartender like we went to school with, and he walked up and he went, "Oh, you're all looking at me as if you don't recognise me." I 100% knew who it was, but I didn't care.
Didn't know what to. Yeah.
I think the problem was that I weren't bothered. But instead of like back when we were out seeing people, I would have been able to go, "Oh shit, you're right, mate." Yeah. I went, "Oh no, I knew who you are. What ails you got on?" And I felt like a cock. As soon as I said it, it came out, and I was like, "Fuck, Elliot, that's where your filter needs to come back up. You need to say
relearn that filter.
Relearn that, don't just blurt out what you're thinking, because like I literally just like, "Oh yeah, I know who you are. What else you got on tap?" Like I felt so bad as soon as I'd done it, because I was like,
maybe you've just become a cunt.
Yeah. Also high potential.
Just devil's advocate, you know, you never know.
Yeah. Well, I think we're all like hermits now. I saw someone in the shop literally today that I recognised, and I pulled the mask up further, cap down like that.
Just don't want to talk to him.
Right past him. Yeah, I can't do it. I'll end up embarrassing myself, like saying something stupid like, "What ails you got on tap?"
We're at the co-op. What are you talking about?
I was at a pub. Like it wasn't like an irrelevant question. I'm like, "Oh yeah, I bumped into him in TK Maxx." Like, what else you got on?
That's weird. That's where I was today. That's really strange.
Fuck off.
It's really strange. Yeah, I was at TK Maxx.
Yeah, it's because I've been watching you.
Yeah. It was you I sped past.
Yeah. Okay.
Brilliant. Right. Well, before we wrap up the show today, we've got two more sections to kind of quickly get through. The first one's almost a bit of a game show that we have for this second series that we're doing. Mm-hmm. And then we get into like bands that we want to shout out that we've been listening to recently. So first of all, I'm going to get into our little scenario-based questions. And they're a little bit off cuff, edgy. You may use the word, but they're not something that would happen in the BBC introducing tent when you're being interviewed. Mm-hmm. So the first question I've got to you, I'm going to start off light. You're building a new set for a video, right? It's whether it be a TikTok, whether it be a music video, you've had to build a new set, and to keep the cost low, you're building it yourselves,
right?
So you borrow the disc saw, whoever you're borrowing it off, your old man, whoever. You've got the disc saw out, you're making this set. Who is the most likely in the band to cut off their finger building this set?
I'd like to say me.
Yeah, I would say you.
Right, but I think I'm too cautious. I think I'll be whining like a baby, going, lads, be careful with the saw. You know?
Yeah. So probably it's me then. Actually, yeah. I think you would be too cautious, but I'm like, right, give me that. I don't need the options. I'm getting. That's it. I'm in.
Get stuck in.
Yeah, I'll probably take my thumb off. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. Okay, so you can also pick from the other band. Who's the third band member that we're missing?
Yeah,
Mason. Right. So you can also pick from.
Go for Mason is because he works on a building site, so
he'd be all right. Yeah. He'd be the one that should be making it for you, really.
Yeah, he'd be finessing the saw. Yeah.
Will he? Is that what he's been doing over lockdown?
Yeah.
So
finessing the saw.
That sounds like an awful euphemism. Right. So the next section we've got, TikTok's gone massive. It's blown up. You've gone out to LA to collaborate with one of these TikTok houses, one of the ones where they're all of age, one of the better ones.
Good clarification.
Just to clarify for the people. As you're on the way to this massive house in the hills, you get kidnapped by the mafia.
Right.
In LA, whether it's mafia, gang, you get kidnapped.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They give you all a kilo of cocaine. You all have to sell the kilo of cocaine. Who's going to be the first one to sell it all to get free?
First of all, good question, police officer. Nice try.
I don't know what cocaine is. Ha!
Yeah. Nice one. No comment.
Yeah. I honestly think you and Mason would sell out like twice as fast as me, because you two have just got that like gift of the gab. You can talk to anyone. Like you could just you'd be able to pull up like conversation and somehow slide it in there. That do you know what I mean? I'd be like, have you had a good day? Would you like any cocaine?
Imagine wandering around LA and a British lad comes up to you and is just like, hello. Would you like any cocaine?
Good evening, sir.
Also, it's definitely Mason. It's definitely Mason who would do the best, because if you turned up to buy cocaine and me and Mitch were stood there, you'd just mug us.
I don't know how much money you lot had made.
Yeah. You'd knock us over like something easy to knock over.
Bowling pins.
Yeah, bowling pins.
Bowling pins, there we go. Yeah. Knock us over. Come back to me on that one.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Right, I've got two more little quick scenario questions for you. You're on tour. Tickets are sold out. You've done amazingly. You've sold the tickets out. You've realised that there's more people seem to be getting in than what you anticipated. And they're paying a lot more for tickets than what you put on the card. Someone in the band has been touting tickets and standing outside selling them for more. Who out of the band is it most likely to be?
So it's someone who needs the money then.
Yeah.
Essentially. If you haven't noticed, these questions are all really simple questions, just exaggerated.
Who's it going to be, Mitch? Who needs the money?
I wonder. Always needs money. Whenever we have to pay for anything, there is one member in the band who never has any money.
Ah, that's funny. That I don't know. It's past. I wouldn't know Mitch, honestly.
It's Cal.
Yeah, it's me. Yeah. Thanks for the idea, by the way.
Yeah.
Do it. It's a good idea.
Yeah. And to be fair, if it was you, I'd be like, oh, fair enough. You know,
fair enough.
Where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll do it. Now I've got the permission on camera now as well. So
exactly.
This has worked out a treat.
Right. And the last question is, as you're on this tour where Callum's touting the tickets, you've rented an Airbnb, you're up in Scotland somewhere in the Highlands, you're in the middle of nowhere. You've rented this Airbnb, and the Airbnb seems a little bit booky, but it's dead cheap. So you want to stay there. Gets the first night and you hear a lot of strange noises coming from this B&B. You start having a little nose around. Wake up the next morning, the owner of the house comes over to check you're all okay, and she lets you know that the house is haunted. You're meant to be staying there for a week longer. You don't want to move because of how cheap it is. Someone has to hold a seance. Get the Ouija board out, fuck around, get the sage out. Who out of the band is it most likely going to be that is going to hold the seance?
See, me and Mitch used to watch. Just give you a bit of backstory to this one. Me and Mitch used to watch horror films in Sheffield, and Mitch once asked me to sit at the top of the stairs so he could go to the toilet during the break of this horror film we were watching. So, Mason.
So not you, Mitch.
Yeah. Unless I could sit at the top of the stairs with him, it'd be all right.
Yeah, it took many years of watching horror films to train myself up. I would be the last person to touch a Ouija board on planet Earth. So, it's not.
Oh, no way.
Mason it is then.
Yeah.
There you go.
He's useful, Mason. Yeah.
He does sound pretty useful.
On one hand, he's got the saw. On the second hand, he's Ouijaing. Some sort of supernatural DJ.
He's asking the Netherworld for instructions on the power saw.
if any Rills fans listen to this and do fan art, then you get drawing that one, I think.
Yeah. Supernatural DJ DIY.
Supernatural DIY DJ. I like it.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, that is the end of the little scenario section we've got. I hope it's a little bit different to what you'd normally have in an interview.
Yeah.
It is.
So just before we wrap it up, we normally kind of run round the group and ask who each other have been listening to, what up-and-coming bands you want to give a shout-out that you think the audience will enjoy. So what have you lot been listening to recently?
Well, my Spotify's sort of been dry cleaning at the minute.
Yeah. Hell of a lot of dry cleaning. Been listening to Black Country New Road as well. They brought their album out a couple of months ago, which is brilliant. I'd also shout out Courtin, who are a wicked band.
Hardcore band, Courtin.
So good.
Also, Pretty Preachers Club, whose EP's out tomorrow.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
All right then. That's good. That's good ones. Normally it takes people get a bit thrown off, but you had the one hand. That was impressive.
Yeah. I think somebody made a murmur about bands being ready. And I was thinking, I was racking my brains. I was like, who have I been listening to? I got myself ready.
I don't like that. Nice and prepped.
Yeah.
Good. Joe, what have you been going for?
I've got two quick ones. One being Bilk's new song.
Fuck.
Do you have that as well? Bad News. It is so fucking good. I've literally had it on repeat, and like I'm not normally one to like listen to songs like over and over again. I'm always like, I like that, but then like file it in good songs and then like move on. But it's one that I've kept coming back to because like they're normally proper sort of post-punk and a little bit like Courting and that, and this is almost like they've thrown
so
like
different
American like garage pop into the mix and gone down that route, but it's so like upbeat for them, and so like I don't know, they've just really taken it to a different vibe, and it's really catchy, and then thrown the English vibes over it. And their one, not many songs make me laugh, but Bilk are one where you listen to them and like they make you laugh, like the lyrics are so their new one's really good. And then Afternoon People is another one I wanted to shout out, who are a bit of a smaller one, but they've just released a song called Corner of My Eye, and they're a Manchester band, like proper like indie rock. But that new one, Corner of My Eye, is really good. And they've got another song called Sovereign, which is also good. So
that Sovereign's a belter.
Yeah, they're sick. And they've got like 400 monthly listens or something. So they're one that you'll be sick if you listen to them now. You'll be really cool.
Yeah, proper edgy.
And
my one, I think, for this week, I've got another. I'm going to go for a quick two for this week, which I seem to normally do anyway.
Quick number two, mate.
Quick number two.
Fucking hell, that was poor humour, lads. Come on. Come on. Oh, we've set a low bar tonight, but that was even low for our standards for this podcast. I want to get into Somebody's Child, his new EP, that Brother track. I played it on the radio a couple of weeks ago. It's in the playlist at the minute. That track is sick. Such a class. He's actually sounds almost like, you know, how some of Sam Fender's like rawer stuff. It's like that, but he has nowhere near the amount of monthly listeners in comparison. Like he's just it's so well polished for something that's still quite underground for what it is. So I want to give him a shout out for that. And if you haven't listened to that EP, make sure you get on that one. And also Naked Next Door. And it's great band name. So my ears pricked up straight away. I was like, right, let's have a little gander. Their track Reset, they sent it to us on, I want to say it was one of our Friday night things we do where we like people send their music across. And that Reset track is unbelievable. Really sick track. They're from Milton Keynes as well, so it's not too far from where we're based. But yeah, check out Reset by Naked Next Door and Brother by Somebody's Child.
Nice.
Well,
lovely.
Lads, thank you very much for coming. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, I've loved it. Thank you.
Yeah, it's been good. It's been a great chat. I'm sure we'll definitely get something going in person when the world reopens and we do some of our the other things we've got going as the time comes. We'll get something else going in person. It'll be sick.
You bring the questions. I'll bring the CHOCCY dark fruits.
You bring the I like
perfect.
That.
Sounds perfect.
Sounds like a date, Callum.
God, you just brought sexual tension to the podcast.
Got it with a
over
knife.
Zoom. That is so impressive.
Look at us vegetarians bonding.
Yeah, fucking hell. So you only had to say cheese sandwich and you were went for him anyway.
Throw in a Ribena, sir, and you've got yourself a deal.
A warm bucket in Quavers and I'm fucking hell.
But it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much for coming, and we'll definitely get something going soon for sure, boys. But if you are still here and listening on Apple, Spotify, whatever you're listening to it on, make sure you like, subscribe, leave us a 5-star review because this was fucking good. If you haven't bought a ticket yet for the gig, buy a fucking ticket, please, because it will sell out.
Where can you buy a ticket from, Elliot?
You can buy a ticket from, that was probably really loud. You can buy a ticket from tsrp.co.uk and it is live it'll be live now. So get on it, make sure you're supporting. It's going to be a massive night. We'd love to see you all there. And thank you for listening. We'll see you on the other side. Peace.